Oh, that's an obvious bad faith argument. This guy is so bad faith. I won't engage with bad faith actors. Listen to almost anyone vaguely involved in politics online, and you will often hear these lines. At least, you'll hear them if the person you're listening to is a fraud and coward. Or, in other words, almost anyone vaguely involved in politics online. If you can train your audience to accept it, bad faith is the ultimate get-out-of-jail-free card. You can dismiss any statement on the alleged basis of why it's said, or due to the supposed state of mind of the person saying it. I love assessing intent, analyzing motivation, but there are people out here every day asserting that things are wrong because of who said it and why. And they do it, and they get away with it, by saying the two magic words, bad faith. They don't really believe what they're saying, so it doesn't count. They're unwilling to change their mind no matter what I argue, so there's no point. They have an ulterior motive, so I won't engage, when I otherwise of course would. Pinky promise. If a good faith person made these exact points, said these exact things, it would be totally different. This approach is unfathomable to me. To my mind, if you have identified that someone is acting in bad faith, in almost any way it can be defined, you have identified an extreme weakness. It's your signal to attack as hard as you can and do as much damage as possible, not an excuse to back off. Let me do a little list, in fact. If they don't believe what they're saying, you can make them uncomfortable and make them look like a joke to an audience by pinpointing why you know they don't believe what they're saying and shoving that into the spotlight. For instance, if they claim a certain value or motive and you know it's selectively applied based on allegiance, shit on their friends who've fallen foul of their supposed standards and attempt to make them choke. If someone is being bad faith in that they have no intention of entertaining your arguments or changing their mind despite pretending they could, this is bad in the context of negotiating a pay rise with your boss or trying to change a politician's path when there are material consequences those people have control over. But online, talking to other random losers, if someone's wrong and totally unwilling under any circumstance to change their mind, brother, you have an infinite punching bag. That's a good thing. What matters is the idea. If you change their mind, you no longer have an avatar of the idea to fight in front of an audience. If an interlocutor is acting in bad faith in the sense that they have an ulterior motive, and you're not just lying about that to make them sound evil, as in, you have solid reason to genuinely believe they have an ulterior motive and you know what it is, you can see at least some of their hand, while perhaps the audience can't. If you can't exploit that, I don't know what to say other than skill issue. A sucker punch you know is coming isn't a sucker punch. It's a vulnerability. If you can't take advantage, that's a flaw on your part you need to own and work on improving. So, why? I've been wondering, seeing as I have this perspective, why is it almost always used to deflect and run away instead of attack? Well, the online usage of bad faith has been embarrassing for years. But what tipped me over the edge to think about it more was H3H3 versus Vaush. Ethan and Hila made a stream tearing into Vaush following him leaking his default download folder, which contained lolicon images. They shared this fact and info-dumped almost every sus thing Vaush has ever said or done, even including some of his own cringeworthy, inadequate explanations for out-of-context clips.
Ethan Klein and his friends over in the H3 pod dedicated about 2 hours of the podcast to doing like the platonic ideal of a bad faith Vaush is a pedophile takedown.
Ooh, so what exactly did Vaush see in that stream to lead him to the conclusion it was done in bad faith? Literally nothing, according to him.
I mean, I didn't see it. I saw people in my Discord talk about it. I didn't want to watch it myself.
Weird. And despite saying he didn't see any of it, Vaush had this to say with absolute certainty regarding Ethan's supposed bad faith, here taking the form of disingenuousness or insincerity, allegedly.
Ethan Klein and I were on good terms, which I know he made fun of. I think at some point he was like, as if I would ever be friends with this pedophile, which is really disingenuous, because the last time we talked on Twitter DMs, he was really friendly to me. Back when I had a channel strike, he talked with me about offering to give me access to his content manager on YouTube.
What a delusional car crash of a claim. The father of a young child must be insincere in his hatred of Vaush after finding out he's downloaded multiple detailed drawn images of children having sex because he helped Vaush out one time, YouTuber to YouTuber, and once asked for clarification on something he didn't like. We were the closest of friends. How could he betray me? He DM'd me twice. Small-souled bugman, hive lord networker mindset on full, disgusting display. He fumbles the play after that, the pretend position he has, by saying something that is a bit too true.
There's almost always going to be more of a social impetus to turn on me than there will be to, like, be decent to me, you know?
This should be the point where you strike. He's saying he has identified exactly the way in which Ethan is acting in bad faith. This is where you unveil your target's ulterior motive somehow. Why, Vaush? Why is it beneficial for Ethan to attack you now? What's changed recently? Oh, a folder of disgusting shit you look at was leaked. And Ethan's stream was extremely transparent in that being the trigger to start dumping on you. Whoops. Can't say that, because it would mean, yeah, there's a good reason. And he doesn't say that. What does he say at this perfect opportunity to say why someone would turn on him, when they haven't before now, despite it supposedly being very advantageous?
Guys, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm a pedophile. So with that in mind, it's obviously kid time.
Oops, I slipped. Here's the actual clip.
Listen to me, you know?
Ten solid seconds of silence, and then moves on from that little tangent. When a claim of bad faith is false, you can't use it to attack. This isn't true of all false claims of bad faith, but when it happens, it's a dead giveaway. You can call that H3 stream many things. Vicious, uncharitable. Maybe you could even call it bullying. Bad faith? Not so much. You could totally say that Ethan's DMs to Vaush afterwards were done in bad faith, but of course they were. Vaush, at the very least, looks like a kitty lover, and Ethan probably wanted to bait him on live for a bloodbath. But if Vaush wants to effectively call that out, he would have to cut his own dick off by saying, Ethan was acting in bad faith with me. He was being nice when he actually thinks I'm a kitty diddler. Because of what I download. Not worth the technical win there, would be my opinion, would be my advice. So, people do act in bad faith. Often, in fact. And you don't have to engage with everyone who wants to argue with you. You don't have to address everything everyone says about you, especially if it's bullshit. However, even calling someone bad faith is choosing to engage. And too often, such claims are nothing more than the last refuge of losers and freaks looking to intellectualize other people genuinely hating them for valid reasons, and to deceive an audience programmed to accept the phrase as a "do not look behind the curtain" warning, lest they be ostracized. The ultimate irony I wish to present is that, for most, bad faith is a buzzword escape rope from a situation they fear or subject they don't want to address. It's a label to bludgeon with. Your bad faith if you don't accept what I tell you to accept or do what I tell you to do. You don't just have to be sincere, you have to be sincere and hold the perspective I say is the good faith perspective. I'm the good guy, so you're bad faith if you're not on my side even. In other words, it's pulled out as a tool to benefit the speaker rather than it being a claim they truly believe. Or, even more simply, claims of bad faith online are, themselves, overwhelmingly made in bad faith. And what is bad faith? A weakness to be struck at. But, as usual, that's just another one of my harmful opinions.